Hey girl. Hey, hey, hey.
Happy Friday. We made it.
Did we? I'm hanging on by a thread.
But we got here. It's been okay. Also, it's April, and I attended a summit this week where everyone is just talking about it's been the longest year yet to
Yeah.
date. And we're only in April.
Yeah. Well, all we got to do is get through it, which there's no other choice. So, all
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yes.
There's a lot on my mind right now.
Okay, let's get to it.
Okay. Where do I even want to start? The first one is I want to talk and get your thoughts on the idea of community and
Mm-hmm.
inconvenience. I saw a thread the other day that said something along the lines of building community or having community. People always want the rewards and the benefits of having community, of having deep connection, but there's ultimately always an inconvenience in that. And I remember it made me think of when I was growing up. I was always introverted. I was a little nerd reading all my books, and my mom used to say to me, if you want to have friends, you have to go out and be there with friends. I would get invited to birthday parties and not go. And she's like, well, who will ever come to your birthday party if you don't go to others, right? Like you have to
Mm-hmm.
connect with other people. So anyway, this idea that community comes at the cost of occasional inconvenience. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think about that in this era of
Mm-hmm.
selfish? We have to be self-focused and boundaries. What do you think?
Well, it's true. And I think the use of the word inconvenience just has a negative tone to it. But it's just that you're like picking something over something else, right? So, like, if you say yes, saying yes is saying no to something else, or saying no is saying yes to something else. So, because you're saying yes to community, to people, to relationships, then you're saying no to the alternative, which could be time at home, time with yourself. For me, I don't know why my default is always work. Whenever I say yes to something, yes to going to an event, yes to showing up somewhere, the no is that time at home, which can consist of, thinking time, doing work. Um, so I don't know that I would necessarily say inconvenience. That wouldn't be my word, but you are saying yes to something, and then something else falls in the back on the back burner.
You know what also made me think about? Because we do have to take care of ourselves. We are in a hard
Mhm.
world. Part of what has made this year feel like, wow, we're only in April is because of how traumatizing the news can be, how disorienting it is to live in a world with constant chaotic news cycles and feelings of instability. And so I was talking with one of my therapists about this, and we were talking about there's article that came out that said about 42% of Gen Z have been diagnosed with a mental health
Mhm.
challenge. And he's a psychiatrist at a very prestigious university, and he's like, I probably would have never say this out loud, but I don't know if I truly believe that almost half of a generation has this. He feels that maybe in some cases we have learned terminology and made it so extreme
Correct.
that there's a difference between having anxiety disorder and having moments of feeling anxious, and how can we start to better parse through what those true differences are. So I bring that up because what I think about is those days where you're like, I just need self-care, or, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. Being able to decipher between what truly is a need when you're on the edge of burnout and
Mhm.
what truly is, I don't feel like it, right? Like, what things are we creating hyperbole around in terms of our own emotions and feelings as a form of self-protection, so we don't have to engage with others that much? Because it's work to build community. It's
Mhm. Mhm.
having difficult conversations. It's sometimes engaging in conflict. It is, I know you just said you don't want to always look at it as the word of inconvenience, but sometimes it is being inconvenienced.
Mm-hmm.
In order for me to show up for you, I might have to drive an hour and a half to get to where you are, or I might have to say no to something that I also really want to do, but I'm choosing you, and that may not feel convenient for me at the time. So I think that's something else that I've been thinking about a lot, is trying to, even for my own self, have a check-in when I want to cancel things. Like this week, I had something every night this week. I wanted to cancel one of them. It was a friend that was having a gala, and I said, I feel like I should show up, but I'm so overworked. But I said yes, and I have to honor that yes, because canceling at the last minute may feel convenient for me, but it truly is an inconvenience to someone who has planned a gala with paid tickets and they're expecting me to be there. So how do I just muster up the energy to make sure I'm actually showing up? Because otherwise I'm potentially sacrificing that relationship, and that's the cost of that.
Yeah. Okay. So several things there. Ooh, that was a lot. While you were talking, something did happen this week, which was a complete inconvenience. So let me share enough without the person knowing it was them. So going back to this summit where I was in attendance, like I had my day planned out, right? Because you need to plan in order to get from point A to point B, because nowadays I also do have an hour and a half commute. That day it actually turned out to be 2 hours because I was inconvenienced by someone who wanted to have a conversation while I was really trying to leave. And I had planned it out. I even stayed a little longer than I thought I would. But in that moment, I was like, oh, I haven't connected with this person in a while. Let me hear them out. Although I already said, oh, I'm trying to get to my car and it's going to take me a while to get to the parking. And then when I finally did leave 30 minutes later, I felt so inconvenienced because the conversation to me, it didn't even deserve the time. Like we could have connected later. We could have had a conversation via phone while I was in the car, while the person was also commuting home. So that was a moment where I coached myself to like be in the moment, be still, stop rushing, just be present with this person. And as I was present with the person, I was also waiting for the moment. Like, okay, what was it? Why are we here a little longer? Like, what is it that we're talking about? And then I was a little upset with myself afterwards because I was like, that wasn't worth it. And then now I'm just delayed to the next thing that I'm trying to get to. And now I'm stuck in 2-hour traffic.
Yeah. And I think that is a really good point, because we can't do for everyone, right? And especially, it's so funny. I was having this conversation today with someone, and we were like, in our 20s in New York, we were always outside. There was always an event. It always felt like there was just no shortage, whether it was everyday people or just going to DL or Beauty and Essex. Like there was just always a stream and flow. And we're like, did it all end? Are the 20 somethings doing it now? Or are we just like,
they're not, they're actually not.
Well, who knows what's happening? But what I said to her was, what I think is different is that as you're getting older, you gain more discernment, and you also have a different perspective on time. So in my 20s, any and everyone I could do anything with. I could go to a brunch with 35 people, and then we're all going to the next move, and we're all traveling together, and maybe it gets down to like 10 or 11 by the end of the night, but it's a crew, and I don't know those people deeply. I don't know much about them, but we're all we're all doing things together. In my 30s, I have to really spend intimate time with people I actually like, because I don't have a lot of time. My work commitments have gotten significantly greater. And so I'm more discerning with how I spend my time. I'm not necessarily going to just show up at an event without knowing people who are really meaningful to me are there. And so I think that then what it does is it does decrease some of this random action that we're used to in that time. So to that point, just thinking about that conversation you were having with the colleague, the acquaintance, what I think about a lot is there are times where, yes, sometimes I do have to be open to connection with everyone. I think we should always find moments for that. But say I'm at a summit all day, that was the moment for that. I carved out that time, all day connection. I'm allowed to have a cutoff point, and maybe I could have extended that cutoff point for someone who is in that, I don't know, the MySpace top 8, or it doesn't have to be a discrete number, but a relationship that truly is meaningful and providing a lot of mutual value. I can't do it necessarily with loose acquaintances. So a lot of times I used to get so mad at my grandfather when he said this, but a lot of times I would go on family vacations. I feel like I have been booked and busy since I was in like 4th grade, because I had internships in the summer and stuff, and our family would get together. And my grandfather would be like, "Oh, you came. I feel like I never see you."
Oh my
And
goodness.
I would be like, "You're killing the mood for me because I'm here right now. Don't guilt me." Like, this is the time for us to spend together, not the time about the times we're not spending together. So often when I'm at events, people are like, "Oh my gosh, I never see you. We have to get together." And I'm like, no. We're together right now. This is the together that's meant to happen for us.
Right.
Relationship. That's how I feel.
Yeah, that was good, because as I was in the car for 2 hours and stuck in rush hour traffic, I was in my mind going through, how could that have gone better?
Yeah.
Because I also, like, you never want to come off rude. And you never want to purposefully create an experience with someone like gets a bad vibe from you, or like you're rushing through a moment. But I was like, that messed me up. That messed up my
You
heart.
have the best excuse of all time for anything. You have a baby. So the excuse, which probably is not even an excuse, is probably
No, it was real.
reality, is I have to go relieve my sitter.
Yeah.
There's a cutoff time, and as time extends, traffic gets better. I would love to reconnect. Let's find time. Here's our information, and find time. And I'm okay honoring that, but it has to be in a moment where I have capacity. It can't be in that moment that you want it just because you want it.
Yeah, that was good. Okay, so then are you telling me that you relate to this quote that community can come at a cost and with inconvenience?
I think it's something that I spent a lot of time thinking about, as I've told you, in the last 2 years, now I guess moving to 2.5 years, my family experienced a lot of loss that just made me think about all of the sacrifices of time that my business has cost me, and just making sure I'm more intentional in this chapter of my life about how I show up and who I show up for, and also how I express the fact that people who mean a lot to me, how do I express it to them so they feel it? Because we also have different expectations. I'm not a quality time love language person. I'm just not. But I know a lot of other people are, and they want to connect and they want to experience that time together. So recognizing the folks in my life who have that as a need, how do I then make sure I'm carving out time to show up for them in that way? And sometimes that can feel a bit like an inconvenience for me. My world right now just feels very committed. It does. I have many goals in different categories of my life. I have professional goals and ambition. I'm dealing with a changing ecosystem of what my industry looks like. I'm dealing with people management, development that I need as a leader, but also the realities of people management, both from a compliance administrative reality, but then from a cultivating their skill sets and developing them. I'm dealing with my philanthropic commitments that mean a great deal to me. And then I also just I have a row of books over there that I want to read. I want to enrich myself. I want to have different perspectives. I want to be in constant learning. And when my days are scheduled from 8 in the morning to 5:30 with work calls, and then I have to do something at 6, and I have 4 days in a row like that, when am I getting the time that I want to read a book or to learn about art or experience something that matters to me? And it's really made me think about how to say no to more and focus on, I feel like for a long time I was that friend that was like, I'm the scale friend, I do things in groups, I'm not the one-on-one. But then the scale just got too big that it's not manageable. So now I'm kind of decreasing and being a lot more focused because I can't manage cultivating 100 relationships. I can probably manage a dozen, right? So how do I really pour into those?
Okay, so I'm always thinking work. I don't know why I have issues. So what I thought about just now is audience engagement. So
Ooh,
what's your
nice.
audience engagement strategy? So you know that you have people that fall into different categories, like different stakeholders, right? And each one needs to be engaged differently. Some you need to give a different level of time commitment to. Some you need to meet with quarterly, like maybe board members, right? Then you have other people who maybe you need to connect with on a more recurring basis, weekly, possibly. So do we need to do that for our own personal lives?
Sandy, I did it. You made me do it. When we did our vision board party or our vision Google slide,
Yes.
I put in
Visualization party.
I did a slide deck around my personal relationship. So I did all the slides around the other aspects of my life, my fitness, my travel, my finances, my business. And I did a slide around relationship building because I realized I want to have my lack of time creates a need for more intention.
Right.
I don't have a whole lot of free time where I can just wander and guess at who I'm giving my intention to. I have to really plan that. So I put on there, I put friends from out of state. I made a list of ones that I want to call and a cadence. I'm like, okay, every 2 weeks I'll call one person from this
Oh,
list.
that's so good.
I did it in your house. It was so good.
God.
It was great. And I do feel like I look back at them like, oh, I haven't called this one in a while. I FaceTime with one of my girlfriends the other night. It was a night where, I was still awake. I'm like, I have maybe 30 more minutes of energy. I haven't talked to anyone that wasn't a colleague today. So let me talk to a friend. And it was great. Her baby was there. Her husband was just getting home. I was learning about what their day was like, what the baby's up to. And it filled me up, right? And now I feel like I'm working on the connection with that friend. So I did that. I did people in person and a cadence. I wanted to meet with them. And I just love that I was focused and mapping out that list because I'm setting the intention.
Oh, that is a template. We need a downloadable.
I'll send you the slide. You're on there.
I know. What category am I in?
We're not going to do all that. We're not doing that is so funny.
Tell me later.
I'll tell you later. I'll show you the whole deck. You probably already looked at it. But yeah, I think just it's okay to be inconvenienced for community. I do think that you can call it whatever you want, but I don't think that relationships are all completely harmonious, are all full of fun times and us doing things we want to do. Relationships to me, as I experienced in the last couple of years, are your friends showing up at funerals as you lose loved ones. It's them sending flowers or checking in on you after you've had fibroid surgery or something else, that a challenging event in your pregnancy, whatever the case might be. And I just think that we can't do that for everyone though. So it really does boil down to creating some intention around who that community you're willing to be inconvenienced for, because the willingness, and maybe this goes back to your initial point, it is the willingness that makes it less of an inconvenience. Like,
Right.
you are my girl. Yes, I will come and hold your hand with you when X happens. I will, even though I wanted to go to the Beyonce concert, like, you need me more right now than
Mhm.
I need that. And so that's worth the sacrifice.
Right, right. Yeah. And the other part of it is also, is this happening every day or is it here and there? Because if it's happening every day, then we might be in the category of
Woo,
pleasing,
that's
right? And that's
great.
something completely different.
That's a great point.
Which takes me back to something else you mentioned about younger generations being diagnosed. I say not only do we have language nowadays, but we are also a lot more vulnerable. Younger generations are more vulnerable. They're more self-aware, more in tune, and seeking professional services in a way that even our parents don't do so still today. So when we look at generations and how we navigate the world, younger people are seeking assistance and help for all kinds of things, where even, you know, my husband, who's 11 years older than me, some things he just would never seek help for.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, and I think that when we were entering the workforce, Sans, I feel like all the articles in the news were about how terrible millennials were, but we brought
Mhm.
flexibility to work culture that really paved the way for a lot of different groups to have what they needed out of work, so that remote work, workplace flexibility, just a lot of different things that millennials brought. And I think that with all the criticism of Gen Z, where it's like, well, whoever the newest generation is going to catch the heat, but they're bringing a lot that we can learn from too.
Mhm.
And not to say that there shouldn't be an exchange, right? We should all
Mhm.
be, that's part of community too, learning from each other. It should very much be reciprocal, but they're bringing a lot in terms of that vulnerability that I think is a big takeaway for all of us.
Mhm. Oh my God. So that made me think about the Simone Biles documentary on
Oh, I haven't seen
Netflix
it.
and all the heat that she got a few
Mm,
years ago because she needed to sit out, what was it, the Olympics because of her mental health.
yeah.
And Angelina, I think it's still safe to say we come from the generation where it's like, who cares about what's going on with your mental health? Like,
Show up.
you show up for sports, for work. Like, I remember my mom saying, "You're not sick today, so you're going to school." And if they ask you, you're not sick, but we were obviously very sick, right? Whereas nowadays, like, there's a cough and these kids are home. Um, but that was a different narrative. That was a different response. Her mental wasn't there for her, and so she needed to sit down. And in the documentary, they went into it and they spoke about how her mental being slightly off could cause physical damage that you can't turn around.
Mm.
But in the past, you should watch documentary. But in the past, these athletes would just like perform through anything, perform through pain, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. I also just think the levels of stress that we're under, and being exposed, especially recently, to a lot of young people who are, and when I say young, I just mean like under 55,
Mm-hmm.
are experiencing extreme health conditions or unfortunately passing away. I have no medical data or research to validate this, but I do feel like there's a correlation between that and not caring for self, right? And not just in the going to the doctor, but in caring for self from the standpoint of, I'm going to walk away from these things that are causing me burnout, are
Mm-hmm.
making my hair fall out, are driving these emotions that
Mm-hmm.
ultimately have an impact on my body. Now, that said, which I'm also acutely aware of, is that's a great privilege right now in our country, because we don't have the resources we need widely available for everyone who needs them.
Mm-hmm.
It's messed up. It's jacked up.
It's messed up.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so we're almost at time, but I did want to talk to you about one other thing really quickly, because you said something to me this week that I've been meditating on a lot, and on both sides. We were talking about, you've been looking so good recently. Ooh, chef's kiss. You look so good.
I'm going to receive it all. Thank
I
you.
said, new mom, who this? Okay, I see you.
Let me give you the shoulder.
Ah, okay, shoulder. That looks, it's toned. I like it. It's giving Michelle Obama arms. And we were talking about that, and you were talking about how different days can be really challenging and all you have on your plate. And you said that, I don't know who gave it to you or if it was your own mantra, but it was something along the lines of days can be hard, but you don't have to look like life is hard. And the joy you take in showing up and how you present yourself. I love that.
Oh my goodness. We could be here for the rest of the day. Through the weekend talking about it and different aspects of it as well. But first, I receive it. Thank you. Working out has always been a part of my life. That is first and foremost. And I personally don't feel right when I don't work out. I feel sluggish. I definitely get that runner's high, that dopamine rush from the sweat. So I need to sweat. Even if I don't do a lot, I need to get in there. So today was one of those days. So y'all gonna get this shoulder. We didn't do too much, but we actually were able to get in there, and that was enough for me. But I'm still adapting to this new life, and I don't quite have it together. I plan, but I also am creating space for the unexpected to happen, and I'm becoming okay with that. And it's taken me months to get here because I'm one of those individuals, Angelina, I will plan out my year. And I can plan now, but I have to be flexible because if not, I'm my own worst enemy when I'm trying to fight and resist the change that's happening in real time. But a part of that is also, as the unexpected is happening, I'm working on showing up as my best self whenever I have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
And it looks different every day. But also in motherhood, I've different people have different perspectives around like what a mother should look like or who is a mother. Like there are even jeans, because I'm in the market for new jeans right now. There are jeans that are called mom jeans. And why are they like the unsexy jeans, right? So there's this whole like perception of like mom and what like a mom should look like. But I am blessed to be surrounded by women who take pride in their appearance. And that starts with my mom, who would always say, if I don't take care of myself, who's going to take care of you and your sister? And then add my dad last to that list. But it's true. And for me, my self-awareness, I know that if I don't feel good, then I'm not going to show up as my best self. Yeah. So as I'm looking to get back into the world and these professional streets, I need to feel good about myself. And I need to feel good about the version of myself that I'm putting forward. So the behind the scenes of that means that, one, I do need to go to the gym, because if not, then my clothes won't fit how I would like for it to feel, to fit, and then me feel how I would like to feel. And then that just impacts everything. So all in all, things could be hard. Some days are like a hot mess disaster, but when I do show up, I don't need to look like things were a mess yesterday. I can show up for today.
It's interesting because I think it's a double-edged sword. When I was growing up, my mom would say, when I was having hard days, she said, on your worst days, wear your best. And what else do they say? They say, thank God I don't look like what I've been through, right? And she would say that because when you look good, you attract good attention. Maybe it's a compliment that kind of makes you smile a little more when you want to cry inside. And there is an actual impact to how it then can help lift your mood. And so I've always enjoyed that. But I think the double-edged sword piece of it is sometimes when you're that person that is always showing up looking like like you have never seen the inside of a disappointment or anything of that nature. You always look just completely put together. People may not see that on the inside you might be falling apart. You might need support, more help. And I think that piece of it can be really challenging because people don't see that multifacetedness.
And I struggle with that.
Yeah.
I have a girlfriend, college girlfriend, who's currently pregnant, and she's like, but you made it look so easy. And I'm like, I can't quite remember the experience all the way now.
That is self-protection. That is your brain.
I know. Like, let's just forget all the bad stuff. But even now, like the beginning of, you know, transitioning into becoming a parent, it's not also glamorous and also easy. So I'm working on being better about also responding when I finally resurface during the hard days, to be like, whoo, we just went through it, girl, and this is what it looks like, you know? Like, yeah, I did have like boogers all over my shirt yesterday, because that's sometimes what life looks like as well. I showed up to the gym today and I was like, what is this on my shirt?
Aww.
It was TJ. But yeah, I'm working on that. But working on it first and foremost with my inner circle, my trusted circle, and then how that shows up a little bit more publicly, if that's even the space for it, soon we'll see.
Ooh, well, I think that then brings us kind of back to where we started, which is because the broader community can never see the full picture. The broader community can't always be open to being what you're making the sacrifices or the inconveniences for. It is that small trusted group, right? Those people that are demonstrating that they create meaning, they give you meaning, you have meaningful relationships with them. So I think that is where we can be more of our fuller selves, and why it is important to show up for those people in really real and intentional ways.
Yeah.
Well, I love you, girl. I gotta run. I'll talk to you
next time. Until next time.
Until next time.